Hello everyone. In this video session, I am going to explain part 207 of Java for Tester series, that is interfaces and object creation. Interfaces and object creation. So guys, to get started, can we create objects for the interfaces? Can we create objects for the interfaces? The answer for this question is no, guys. No, we cannot create objects for the interfaces. If we try to do so, we are going to get a compiler error in Java. Okay, we cannot create objects for the interfaces in Java, guys. If we try to do so, we are going to get the compiler error. So let me compare two things here. On the left side, let me compare abstract classes. On the right side, we have interfaces. Can we create objects for the abstract classes? Can we create objects for the abstract classes? The answer is no here also. We cannot even create objects for the abstract classes, and also we cannot create objects for the interfaces. So let me practically demonstrate that we cannot create objects for the interfaces, and if we try to do so, we'll get the compiler error. Let me demonstrate creating the objects for the interfaces and getting the compiler error, as creating the objects for the interfaces is not possible in Java. So guys, let me create an interface. Right click new interface and give an interface name, say bank. Click on finish. We have created an interface known as bank, and I will create some variables and methods inside this interface. That is string account type 1 is equal to savings account. String account type 2 is equal to current account. Okay, current account, savings account and current account. Now I'll create some methods. You don't have to specifically mention the access modifiers here, because the methods inside the interface are by default public and abstract type. Okay, void deposit amount is one method I will create. It will not have any body, because by default this particular method inside the interface is of abstract. You cannot create body for the abstract methods in Java. And also you don't have to specify it as public, because by default this method is of public. You don't have to specify any access modifier, because only public is allowed, and by default this method is of public. As explained in one of the previous videos, the methods inside the interfaces are of public and abstract type by default. Void withdraw amount is another method. Then void open fixed deposit, okay, is another method. Like this, in this particular interface known as bank, we have two variables and three methods. Fine. Now guys, let's create a class known as demo class, which has this main method inside it. So I'm going to drag this to the right side so that you can see both interfaces and this demo class together. So inside this main method, I would like to create an object for this interface known as bank. So can I create an object for this interface, guys? No, guys, the answer is no. You're going to get a compiler error. Let me show you practically. So bank is equal to new bank. I create an object for the bank interface, and I got this compiler error saying that cannot instantiate the type bank. That means you cannot create an object for the bank interface. So objects cannot be created for the interfaces in Java, and if you do so, you'll get the compiler error. Okay, as mentioned here. Fine. So guys, then how? Okay, then how? If you are not able to create, objects for the interfaces, then how can you access this methods of this bank interface? Okay, how can you access this methods of this bank interface? The answer is you can create some classes which can implement this interface, and you can create the objects for those classes. Okay, So let me drag it here so that it will not be a problem. Okay. Now what I will do is I will create a new class which can implement this interface. I'll name this class as Axis Bank. Okay. Click on finish. Drag it to the right side so that you can see both this bank interface and Axis Bank class together. I would like to make this Axis Bank class to implement this bank interface. Implements bank interface. So when this particular class implements the bank interface, all this abstract methods of this interface has to be implemented inside this implementing class. Okay. So hover the mouse on this and say add unimplemented methods. So all the unimplemented methods of the interface will be displayed here. Okay. So I will try to implement them. So this is the body of this method. So inside this method, I will write a print statement saying system.out.println depositing amount in Axis Bank, okay, account. Similarly, I'll implement another method that is withdraw amount of this interface inside this Axis Bank class by saying system.out.println withdrawing amount from Axis Bank account. Third method, I'll write a sample statement for as part of implementation by writing opening fixed deposit in Axis Bank account. Like this, I implemented all the abstract methods of this bank interface inside this Axis Bank. Fine. Along with this inherited and implemented abstract methods of this bank interface, okay, this particular Axis Bank can also has its own or specific methods of this Axis Bank. Okay, this Axis Bank can also have its own methods apart from the inherited methods. This Axis Bank can have its own methods. Okay, let's say there is a method like public void open flexible fixed deposit. This feature is only there in the Axis Bank, let's say. Okay, so in Axis Bank, if you are holding an account in Axis Bank, you can open a flexible fixed deposit account. Okay, so I'll write here system.out.println. This particular method is not inherited from the interface, guys. Rather, this particular method specifically belongs to this Axis Bank itself. Okay, all the other three methods are implemented by inheriting from the interface, whereas this method is specific to the Axis Bank account. So I'll write a statement saying opening flexible fixed deposit in Axis Bank account. Fine, like this. Now, guys, this Axis Bank class is implementing this bank interface and has implemented all the inherited abstract methods of the interface. Along with that, it has its own specific method. Now, I cannot create an object for the bank interface directly, right? If I try to do so, I'll get a compiler error. If I say bank is equal to new bank, I'm going to get a compiler error saying that you cannot create an object for the bank interface. But I can create object for the classes which are implementing the interface. That means I can create an object for this Axis Bank here. So Axis Bank Axis is equal to new Axis Bank, like this. Okay, I can create an object for the Axis Bank which is implementing the Axis Bank class which is implementing the bank interface. Now with this object reference of this Axis Bank, I can access all the inherited methods of the bank interface along with the specific method of this Axis Bank. Okay, Axis dot, I can say deposit amount, Axis dot withdraw amount, I can say Axis dot open fixed deposit. I can also say Axis dot open flexible fixed deposit. So these three are the interface methods, whereas this one is the method which is specific to this Axis Bank. Using the object of this Axis Bank class, which is implementing the bank interface, I can access all the methods of this bank interface. Along with that, I can access the method which is specific to the Axis Bank. Okay, like this, you can create the object for the Axis Bank class, which is implementing the bank interface, and then access all the methods. Fine. So next thing is assigning the object of implementing class to the variable of the interface. What does it mean? So I'll clear this out. What I mean to say here is I cannot create an object for the bank interface. If I try to do so, I'll get a compiler error. Bank is equal to, if I say new bank, okay, I'll get a compiler error saying that you cannot create this new keyword is creating an object for the bank interface. This new keyword in Java is trying to create an object for the bank interface, which is giving you the compiler error. Okay, cannot instantiate the type bank. So guys, if you're not able to create an object for an interface, can you create a variable for the interface? Can you create a variable and define that variable with bank interface type? Yes, you can do so. Okay. Only thing is that you cannot create an object for this bank interface. Okay. You cannot create an object for this bank interface, but you can create a variable and define that variable with bank interface type. Only this part is possible. But if you say is equal to new bank, this is not possible. Okay. You cannot create an object for the bank and assign to the variable of the bank interface. You can only create a variable and define that with bank interface type. Up to this is possible. So for this particular variable of bank interface type, if you try to assign, okay, can you assign an object of this Axis Bank class which is implementing this interface? Yes, guys. Okay. So what I mean to say here is I'm create here on the right side, I'm not creating an object for the bank interface. On the right side, I'm not creating an object for the bank interface. Rather, I'm creating an object for the Axis Bank class which is implementing the bank interface. Okay. This will create an object for the Axis Bank class which is implementing the interface, and this object is getting assigned to the variable of the bank interface. This statement is possible, guys. Okay. This statement is possible. You can create an object for this class which is implementing the interface and assign that object to the variable of the bank interface. So using such object reference, okay, which is defined with using such object reference which is defined with the bank interface type, what are the different methods I can access? Can I access all the methods of this Axis Bank? The answer is no, guys. Okay, I cannot access all the methods inside this Axis Bank. Rather, using this reference, using such kind of reference in the statement, you can only access the methods which are implemented. The methods which are inherited and implemented from the bank interface can only be accessed, guys. The method which is specific to the Axis Bank cannot be accessed using this object reference. Okay, if this particular variable is defined with this bank interface and then assigned with the object of this Axis Bank, using this object reference, you can only access the methods which are inherited and implemented from the interface. Okay, this method cannot be accessed. Let me show you. So I can say bank dot deposit amount. Okay, I can say bank dot. I'm able to access, guys. Okay, bank dot withdraw amount. I can say bank dot open fixed deposit. I can say all these things. Okay, because all these methods are belong to the bank interface and they are inherited inside this Axis Bank class. Right now, if I say bank dot open flexible, I'm not able to do access, guys. Okay, I'm not able to access bank dot open flexible flexible fixed deposit is not possible because this method belongs to the Axis Bank. Here we are creating an object for the Axis Bank and assign to the variable of the interface. In such kind of cases, using this object reference, you can only access the methods which are inherited from the interface only. Okay, the bank interface methods only can be accessed. Okay, the bank interface methods which are implemented in the Axis Bank can only be accessed using this object reference, but the method which is specific to this Axis Bank cannot be accessed with such kind of object reference or variable. Okay, fine. Now guys, but still I want to access this method using this bank. So what I have to do? So let's say what I will do here is bank. I'll typecast this bank, guys. Okay, so I'll put this bank inside this circular brackets and I will typecast it to Axis Bank class. Okay, I am typecasting this bank object reference with this Axis Bank class. Okay, dot open. Now you are able to access, guys. Okay, so directly if you say bank dot open flexible fixed deposit, it cannot be accessed, guys. In order to access, we have to typecast this particular bank type of from bank to the Axis Bank type. Then only you can access. Okay, So guys, these are all the things. Okay, so if you directly create an object for this Axis Bank, access is equal to new access, then all these methods, including the inherited methods and the specific methods of this Axis Bank, can be accessed using that object reference. But if you create an object for the Axis Bank and then assign to the variable of the bank interface, then only the methods which are inherited and implemented in the Axis Bank can be accessed. But the method which is specific to the Axis Bank cannot be accessed such kind of variable. If you still want to access such kind of method, okay, which specifically belongs to the Axis Bank here, then you have to typecast it to the Axis Bank, then you only you can access. Okay, fine. So casting is done. The last thing is that why we have to assign an object of the Axis Bank class which is implementing the interface. Okay, why we have to create an object of a class which is implementing an interface and assign it to the variable of the interface. What is the purpose? Let me explain the purpose. Okay, let me explain the purpose. Why we have to create an object for this class implementing the interface and assign to the variable of the interface. We can directly say Axis Bank Axis is equal to new Axis. Like this I can say, right? I can directly create an object for the Axis Bank. But why I'm creating an object for the Axis Bank and then assigning to the variable of the bank interface? Why this kind of statement is really required in Java? Okay, let me explain. So guys, what I will do here is I already created an Axis Bank class here. Let me create other classes also. Let's say I'll say HDFC Bank. Okay, I'll create multiple classes. So here I'll drag it here. I'll implement this HDFC Bank. HDFC Bank, I'll say implements bank interface. Here Axis Bank is implementing this bank interface. At same time, HDFC Bank is also implementing the same bank interface. Okay. So here you have to say hover the mouse on HDFC Bank and say add unimplemented methods. So I'll implement the methods inside this HDFC Bank also in the similar manner I did for the Axis Bank. So I will say depositing amount in the HDFC Bank account. Okay. Similarly, for the withdrawing the amount also, I will implement something like this. Withdraw the amount. Paste it here, withdrawing the amount from the HDFC Bank. Since I am implementing this HDFC Bank, since I am implementing this methods inside the HDFC Bank, I have to write the statements according to the HDFC Bank account. Okay, fine. The other thing is like opening fixed deposit. Okay, I'll write it here inside HDFC Bank account in HDFC Bank account. So apart from this HDFC Bank, I will create another class also. Okay, another bank class which can implement the same bank interface. That is ICICI Bank. Click on finish and I will drag it here. I'll say implements bank interface. This particular ICICI Bank also implements the same bank interface. And hover the mouse on this compiler error and say add in unimplemented methods. Now let's implement that methods, the same methods in different class. So withdrawing the amount from the which bank? ICICI Bank. Then sorry, this one is depositing, right? This is withdrawing. This should be there inside this withdraw amount method. And depositing should be there here. This is ICICI Bank account. And last one is opening fixed deposit inside the ICICI Bank. Okay, here instead of Axis, I will write ICICI. Now guys, how many classes we have? We have 3 classes: Axis Bank class, HDFC Bank class, and ICICI Bank class. Like 3 classes are there, and all these 3 classes are implementing the bank interface. Axis Bank is implementing the bank interface. HDFC Bank is implementing the bank interface. ICICI Bank is also implementing the bank interface. And as these classes are implementing the interface, they have implemented the methods in their own way. Okay, they have implemented the abstract methods of the bank interface in their own way. If you come to the Axis Bank, it has implemented by saying deposited into Axis, withdrawn in from Axis, opening in Axis. Coming to HDFC, it has implemented, this particular class has implemented this methods of the bank interface in its own way, saying depositing in HDFC, withdrawing from HDFC, opening in HDFC. Okay, like that. ICICI also, it's in own way, saying depositing in ICICI, withdrawing from ICICI, opening fixed deposit in ICICI. Like that, if you have multiple classes implementing the same interface, now you will get the answer, guys. Okay, in this kind of situations you are going to get the answer why we have to create an object for the classes implementing the interface and assign to the variable of that particular interface. Okay, if I say string, I can write such kind of logic, guys. Okay, so here I'm explaining the purpose, guys. You have to come to this point, like the purpose of assigning the object of the implementing classes to the variable of the interface. Okay, so why we have to do so, I'm just explaining. So with this logic that I'm writing here, you will able to understand why we are assigning the object of the implementing classes to the variable of the interfaces. Okay, string, I'll say bank name is equal to, I can give any bank name here. Let's say if I give Axis here, then here I will write the logic like this. If, so before writing if here, I will say, I'll write something like bank. I can create a variable for the interface, right? I cannot create an object for the interface. Bank is an interface. I cannot create an object for the interface, but I can create a variable for the interface like this. Bank. I can say I can create a variable for this interface. I can define a variable as bank interface type. That's possible. But I cannot create an object for the interface. I can create a logic like this. If this bank name, the given bank name dot equals, okay, if the given bank name equals Axis, I will write a statement like this. Okay, and before doing so, I'll assign some null here. Okay, I'll assign null to this bank variable of the bank interface. So before assigning anything, I'll assign a null here. Now if this bank name, if the bank name of this particular variable is provided as Axis, in that case, what I will do is I will say bank is equal to, bank is a variable of the which interface type, bank interface type. Bank is equal to, I'll create an object for Axis Bank like this. Okay, so what if, else if I say bank name dot equals, if it is HDFC, okay, in case if it is HDFC, then to the same variable of the bank interface, in this case I will assign the object of which class, HDFC bank class. Okay, so guys, I'm generalizing. As you can see, the variable is same, right? Bank is there, but the object is differing here. I can assign the object of the Axis Bank, the variable of the bank interface. Same time, I can assign the object of the HDFC Bank to the variable of the bank interface, because this Axis Bank, this HDFC Bank are implementing the bank interface only. That's the reason I can create an object for the Axis Bank or HDFC which are implementing the bank interface and assign it to the variable of the bank interface like this. Okay, I'm generalizing the things. Bank name, if bank name dot equals ICICI, okay, if it equals to ICICI, in that case, the object of the ICICI bank need to be assigned to the variable of the bank interface. So here the variable is same, but the objects are differing. Like this, multiple objects of different classes implementing the interface can be assigned to the variable of the bank interface. Okay, that's the reason, guys. We can create an object for the classes implementing the interface and assign to the variable of the interface. So such kind of programs are possible only when you create an object, only when you create object for the classes implementing classes of the interface and assign to the variable of the interface. Okay. Now simply I can say bank dot deposit amount, bank dot withdraw amount, bank dot open fixed deposit. Okay, like this I can write the code. Fine. So what will happen when I run this code now? When I run this demo.java, what will be the result, guys? Here the bank name is Axis. So here the logic will go here, guys. Okay, bank name dot equals Axis. Okay, this bank name is Axis. Axis dot equals Axis is true. So it will go inside this first if block. Then bank is equal to new Axis Bank. So object of the Axis Bank will be assigned to the variable of the bank interface in this case. And all this remaining else if will be skipped. And here bank dot deposit amount. Which method will be called? The method deposit amount implemented inside the Axis Bank will be called this because currently the object of the Axis Bank is assigned to the variable of the bank interface. So bank dot deposit amount means this method inside the Axis Bank. So that is nothing but depositing amount in the Axis Bank will be printed. Okay. Similarly, withdrawing amount from the Axis Bank, opening fixed deposit in Axis Bank will be printed. Let's run this and see whether we are getting the correct results. You see, depositing amount in Axis Bank, withdrawing amount from Axis Bank, opening fixed deposit in Axis Bank. What if I change this X to HDFC? What will happen, guys? So here, when I run this main program, so the bank name is HDFC. So the logic will be checked here. HDFC dot equals Axis. True or false? False. So this block will be skipped. It will go to the next if condition, that is HDFC dot equals HDFC. It's true, guys. So the object of which class will be assigned to the variable of the interface? The object of the HDFC class, HDFC bank class is getting assigned to the variable of the bank interface. So here when I say bank dot deposit amount, which methods, which deposit amount will be called? The deposit amount method which is there inside this HDFC bank will be called, guys. Okay. Withdraw amount method which is there in the HDFC will be called because we are assigning the object of the HDFC bank to the variable of the bank interface in this case. Like this, such kind of programs you can create, guys. If you create objects for the classes implementing the interface to the variable of the interface type. Okay. So run this, right click run as Java application. We should get the result as HDFC, depositing, withdrawing, opening. What if I change it to ICICI? It's very easy now, right? ICICI. So ICICI equals Axis, false. So this will be skipped. ICICI dot equals HDFC is also false. This will also be skipped. Last if condition, that is ICICI equals ICICI, true. So object of the ICICI bank is getting assigned to the variable of the bank interface, and all the methods inside the ICICI bank will be called using this variable of the bank interface. Okay. So if I run this, right click run as Java application. You see, depositing amount in ICICI bank, withdrawing amount from ICICI bank, opening fixed deposit in ICICI bank. So this is the purpose, guys. This is the purpose of assigning the objects of the implementing classes of the interfaces to the variable of the interface. Using such kind of feature available, we can create or implement such kind of logic like this. Okay. Based on the logic, we can assign any object of this any class implementing the interface to the variable of the interface and get such kind of programming results. So this is all about the interfaces and object creation in Java, guys. In the next video session, I'll explain the next topic on the interfaces, that is implementing multiple interfaces. Okay. So that's it, guys. See you in the next video session. Thank you. Bye.